Hello and welcome back. Today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends series Gamerverse Marvel Snap 3-pack from Hasbro Toys. This was the San Diego Comic Con 2025 exclusive from Hasbro and had Shana, Sauron and Rogue in it. While it's based on characters from Marvel's Savage Land, it was promoted using the Gamerverse sub-branding under the Marvel Snap. For those who aren't familiar, Marvel Snap is a mobile game which works sort of like a digital trading card game like Magic or Pokemon or something like that, where you build a deck and use the deck to score the highest amount of points between various regions. The digital cards even look something similar to this background here. As I said, this is the San Diego Comic Con exclusive. I don't know if there's any current plans for Hasbro to release any of these figures individually. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see single carded release figure of these figures in the near future. I can't imagine using such a big mold for a single exclusive would be in Hasbro's interest. I know Shana's been quite a highly demanded figure to go with the Khazar figure, and Rogue is always popular. Although if anything's going to remain an exclusive in the 3-pack, I would imagine it's Savage Land Rogue. But that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong. Hasbro could announce tomorrow that all of these are being widely released. Anyway, here we have the 3-pack. It's done in slightly different packaging to usual, in that we get artwork inspired from the Savage Land here to go with that Marvel Snap branding. The Snap is actually embossed in a gloss. We get the window packaging showing our figures within. The artwork's quite nice. It's nicely almost pencil drawn. I imagine it isn't, but it's got the sort of remains of various prehistoric animals which are infamous to the Savage Land. The top gives us the names of the 3 characters, so we get Marvel Shana, the She-Devil, Marvel Sauron, and Marvel's Rogue. The side continues with that artwork, and we get a dinosaur in the background there, and same on this side. Underneath is our legal and barcode, and then on the back is product shots of our figures, or more of a digital rendering of our figures, done in the style of the trading cards from the Marvel Snap game, which look quite identical or fairly similar to what you would expect the card designs in the game to look like themselves. So there we have it. Let's get this opened and take a look. I don't know if this is still available on Hasbro Pulse or not. It went up Monday, and I know it's been in and out of stock throughout. I don't think this one's been as hard to get as the Star Wars Black Series. And I hope that anyone who wanted it has been able to secure it. So the figures are on a plastic packaging, and then the insert's done as that sort of Savage Land backdrop, and it's even sculpted to fit with the rest of this theming. So Hasbro certainly put some nice effort into the packaging. I don't think it's quite as nice or as spectacular as what they were doing with the Black Series set. I think it would have been cooler to have maybe had these posed in some way on display in the set, but given that they're being opened and taken out, it's not essential in any way. Thankfully, the figures don't seem to be clipped down with cable ties, they're just pressed in. There is some tape in places just for the accessories, but other than that, there's no big issues. So let's just get this tape out of the way. So, Rogue comes with 2 alternate pairs of hands, so we've got some open splayed hands and some gripping hands. She also has a spear, which is done in a reasonably tough plastic. This piece here is separately molded, but it doesn't appear to be... it's sort of removable with a bit of effort, but it's not intended to come off. You also get a knife for her. There. It's nicely done. It's a rubbery plastic, so it's bendable. It's not going to snap or anything, but it's nicely painted in the silver with some brown for the handle. Sauron has his hypnotizing beams for his eyes, along with his tail. Tail does appear to have a bendy wire in it, so you'll be able to pose that around, but we'll take a proper look at that in a bit. She-Devil has the same knife as Rogue and the same alternate hands, just obviously done in a skin tone this time. In fact, this one's missing a slight paint tap, and it appears that it's been molded in the same green plastic as Rogue's and just painted over. She also has a rifle. Not quite sure how someone in a prehistoric Savage Land has gained a rifle. I'm not too familiar with the Savage Land characters. The only time I've really sort of had interactions, shall we say, with Savage Land is Marvel's X-Men cartoon in the 90s. Besides that, I don't think I've read too many comics or anything like that where it's appeared. She also has a spear with a flinted blade that's really nicely textured and with a nice stony paint app on there. And then some ties to make it look as if it's tied in place. Same sort of bendy-ish but fairly firm plastic as Rogue's. You can see there are 2 completely different molds here. One's thicker than the other. Then we get our figures. So, She-Devil, Rogue, and then Sauron. His wings are detached, so we will need some minor assembly with this figure. let's put him to one side for a minute. Let's get these stood up and then we can take a look at the figures in turn. So as Marvel Legends figures, they are in the 6-inch scale, and I can just get my tape measure. We will see that the women come in at pretty much dead on 6 inches. Sauron is a much bigger figure, and he is actually just about 8.5 inches. We'll measure his wingspan once he's fully assembled, but yeah, he is a big figure. So first up we have Shannara, the she-devil, and that is a really nice head sculpt. She's got a serious face there with some really nice hair moulding throughout as if it's blowing in the wind. The rest of the body is mostly in a skin-toned flesh colour with some paint apps for the clothing, which is done in a light dusty brown. It looks really nice. The loincloth is a separate piece, and they have painted her underwear underneath if you are so interested. This is, I think it's glued on, but the vest is definitely a separate piece as well. So that's just mindful of that. And we've got her boots with some nice fur bits. It's a really nicely done figure. Articulation wise is that standard Marvel Legends. So head is on a ball joint and a swivel, so we can get some really nice movement there. You can get her head forward like that or back. Can't get it really looking up because of the hair, but you can get other movements throughout. There is no butterfly joints, and it's just a standard swivel and peg. Bicep, double pinless elbows. She has currently equipped fist hands, which can just be pulled and popped off. The wristbands are a separate piece, so careful that you don't lose those. So we can get her with gripping hands. I'll just put the gripping hands on for now, and then there is a ball joint at the abs, so you can get a full range of movement there. There is nothing else at the waist, so it's just at the abs there. Legs will go forward that far, won't go back, will go out to the side that far. We get a calf swivel, double pinless at the knees. There, despite the separate moulding bits, there is no boot cut, but there is a swivel at the feet. Overall, I really like the look of this figure. It's been really well done in my opinion, especially that head sculpt. I absolutely love the head sculpt and the way the hair's done on that. Articulation wise is that standard Marvel Legends figure, so if you're familiar with Marvel Legends figures, you're going to be familiar with what you're getting here. It's nothing new. There appears to be a strap for the knife there, so you can get her equipped with the knife, and she can also get a hold of her spear. So she can get a really nice grip on her spear, and you can get some posability there if you wish. Alternatively, she doesn't really have a trigger hand, so I'm not quite sure how she's supposed to get a grip of the rifle. So she can certainly get a grip of the rifle there, and then rifle not so much. You can sort of get a pose clutching it, but she's certainly not going to get any sort of shooting poses out of it. It's a really weird accessory given that the hands don't have any trigger fingers. The stock of the barrel makes it awkward for her to get a grip of this to begin with. Yeah, you can sort of loop it through the thumb and then sort of, but again, it's not really, no, she's not really designed to pose with the rifle, so I don't know why she's been given that. Equally, Rogue has the exact same molded hands, so I doubt so Rogue's not going to get a grip on this either. It's definitely a weird accessory to have. I never complain about having accessories, the more the merrier, but yeah. So I'm sure, you know, if you have it, you can find another character to use it for, but for She-Devil and Rogue, it is a very odd choice. So there we have Shana. Let's get her pose before we move on. So let's give her her spear. See if we can get her in a sort of a crouched hunting pose. Swap that for the blade hand. There we go. So you can get some really, you can get some decent poses out of the figure. I definitely do like it. It's just that rifle which is a little weird. We get Rogue in her Savage Land attire. Her body mold is the exact same as She-Devil's. And so is the loincloth. In fact, when I saw product shots of this, I thought the top was also the same mold. However, was the same mold, just flipped. However, on inspection, it is a different mold. It has a small green layer to it, which is stuck underneath. The tatters at the top are different, as is the molded detail of the creases in the top as well. So they are two different molds, which are pretty decent. As I said, I had thought that was originally the same one, just printed in the alternate direction. She has a necklace on her, which is a separate item. So if you popped the head off, you could take that off if you want. She has a wrap around her leg. It's tight enough that it's not really going to move anywhere, but it is a completely separate piece. Like She-Devil, there is no articulation at the boot. Boots are different molds as well. At least this piece is. I think the rest of the lead leg is the exact same mold. It's just those bits here which are different. So there are some slight changes here which Hasbro have done, which I think is a nice touch. It would have been very easy to have sort of cheaped out and just used the exact same details in different colours for this figure. Head sculpt, I don't like this so much. There's something weird about the lips. But I do like that hairstyle, the way it's blowing in sort of the wind, the classic grey, white, and the brown, the bandana around her head. The only thing I don't like, as I said, is just those lips. They look a little weird. Perhaps more of a closed or stoic expression might have been a better fit for the figure. Otherwise, she looks absolutely fantastic, just as much as She-Devil. As I said, it's the exact same articulation as the counterpart. It's the same body completely, bar the clothing accessories. So everything you would expect with her is the same. We can easily flip out her hands and give her that spear as well. Spear. Being a thicker plastic, she doesn't get quite as good as grip as She-Devil does on hers, and that's because the hands are quite a sort of light, bendy plastic, so they don't get such a tight grip. You can get opposed with it, no issue whatsoever. It's just not as nice a grip as perhaps maybe you might want with the character. So you can get opposed as you want. She also has the ability to holster her knife there. So again, a really fantastic looking figure. Just getting this posed around a bit. There we go. So you can get her posed really nicely. Then, what is probably the main figure of the piece is the Sauron, which is a giant pterodactyl which has the ability to possess people's minds, if I recall rightly. There is some minor assembly on this, with the tail plugging into the back. And the wings plugging in to the arms with just a nice firm click there. I'm not certain. I think some of this mould is shared with that recent Far From Home or No Way Home lizard. We got, just before we move into looking at the figure, for those interested, wings out as far as it will go. It has a wingspan of about 18 inches, and that height again is about 8.5 inches, so it is a really big figure. But it is fantastically done. There are some really wonderful details throughout on this. You can see the skin tones and the various shading throughout. The loincloth is a separate modded piece and is movable, so it won't get in the way of posing. There's modded detail of some rope for a belt. It would have been nice if that had been painted a separate colour, but it's a Marvel Legends figure hitting a certain price point, which we'll talk about towards the end, so I understand why that's not painted. But the rest of the paint apps on this are gorgeous. They really, really are. I absolutely love the tones of the green and the way they're blended and faded together. Even on the wings here throughout. out. Gives the wings a real sort of leathery look. There's some spray for darker greens here. The plastic and the way it's molded and the color they've used does give it a leathery look. And you can sort of see, I don't know if you can see my fingers showing up underneath. So while it's a really firm, hard plastic, it's thin enough to give almost a translucent look, which you would expect wings like this to have. The articulation wise, let's bring these down for a second so I can get a proper look. Well, actually, let's, oh. Okay. We do have the head as well. I do need to talk about that head. The head again is fantastically done. There's some really nice molded detail. The eyes have those hypnotizing looks to them, which is a really, really nice touch. The mouth opens and gets a really wide screech effect there. The mouth is nicely painted, as is the tongue. So there's some really nice touches throughout on this. But articulation wise, that head is on a double ball joint. So there's a ball joint here and here. So you can get real nice range of movement. There is a swivel at the base of the neck, so you can also get that neck moving and rotating as well. The arms are, there is no butterfly joint, but they are those standard Marvel Legends arms, just thicker, so you can get those in and out. Bicep, it's a single bend at the elbow, and it is a pinned, but given the size of the figure and the way this figure moves and is molded, that is fully understandable. Clawed hands, which are on standard Marvel Legends swivels. We get a ball joint at the ab, so you can get a full range of movement there. There is nothing at the waist. But the legs go forward, don't really go back. There is a calf swivel, double pinless knees, and there is a foot swivel, and then that tail is also on a swivel, so you can get it up and down, and there is a bendy wire inside, so you can get that moving and articulated as you so desire. So once again, another really, really great looking figure with a wide range of articulation and posing options for this figure. Despite its wingspan and everything else, it never feels top heavy. Can get that stood, and then there is this psychic eye effect which sort of slides over the beak and plugs into those nostrils there, which is a cool effect piece. I've not seen something quite like that before. That's quite fun looking. I'm not sure I'll display it like that, but that is a cool accessory to add to the figure. Overall, I absolutely love this set. I originally wasn't going to get the set. I'm not that familiar with the Savage Land characters. Yeah, I know who Sauron is. I sort of know who She-Devil is, and I definitely know who Rogue is, but I'm not that familiar with this area of the Marvel Universe. But after seeing it go up live, I just kind of had to get it. And having it in hand, I am so glad I did get it. I think I would have really regretted passing on this, especially for that Sauron figure. He is fantastic, absolutely amazing. Price on this was $95. So for that you get 2 basic figures and 1 deluxe figure. So the deluxe figures are what, £35 to £40, and the two base figures would have been 25 each, so 95 is about average. Obviously, one, you would expect to pay more because this is a convention exclusive, meaning that the production run on it's a lot less than a standard run. So you are going to have a slight increase on price point here. However, that £5 increase is probably less of an upcharge than I would have expected, and I do feel this is actually a really good price point for all of this, and I'm really glad to get it. If you've got it, I think you'll find yourselves really happy with this. If you missed out, or you find that you are able to get it for retail price, then I would highly recommend it. Don't ever play pet scalper monies for something. Obviously it's your money, do with it as you wish, but I highly implore you never to help feed a scalper. But yes, overall I am really happy with this set. Hasbro have done an absolutely fantastic job on this. But yeah, there we have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, freedom is a right, not a privilege.